Hi! I feel like a little kid sitting on the edge of the bed like this. Hi! Today I want to talk about my interest in slow fashion and handmade fashion. I think my current obsession with slow fashion, handmade clothes comes back to the extremely wasteful habits of my youth. I've learned as an adult how little you actually need to be happy and content. I shopped mostly fast fashion as a teen and young woman. That mostly came from thinking that's all I could afford, and it probably was all I could afford, but also that sense that I needed more variety in my wardrobe. When in reality, clothes from fast fashion companies no longer exist in my wardrobe today. They either had to be thrown out, disposed of because they either went out of fashion too fast or they just were completely worn through after a handful of washes. If I had an idea of personal style at the age of 20, now I'm looking back at this as a 27-year-old, I would have invested upfront in good quality clothing that I actually liked, that I would keep for years. Now I do own clothes that are 8 years old, 6 years old, that are from fast fashion companies that I still like and still wear, and they've lasted this long. So I still wear them and I still love them, but they're basic pieces that ended up being constructed well. Other than personal finances affecting my choice of clothing, there's also environmental and ethical reasons to not shop in the fast fashion and to choose a more sustainable option for clothing. To me now, there's too many consequences of overconsumption. There's so much textile waste and pollution because of this. The more you research and look into it, the more alarming it is. But I'm not a scientist, so I won't go through all of that. But the other thing with fast fashion specifically is that until you actually make your own piece of clothing, when you make your own clothes, you really begin to understand how much time and effort and even skills that it takes to make a quality garment. Thus, you begin to understand the worth of clothing and that maybe a $5 shirt might not be made out of the best materials and best techniques. But at this point in my life, and maybe I'm just getting older, I would rather have a limited amount of good quality clothing than a huge closet full of stuff that's going to lose its shape or fall apart after 3 washes. I really want clothes that I love and that I know will last. And to me, breaking down cost per wear can help you realize that investing in quality pieces of clothing is actually more financially stable than buying a very cheaply made shirt that you're only going to be able to wear a handful of times. I understand that there's privilege in saying that because I am able to afford a good pair of jeans maybe instead of buying them from a fast fashion company, because at this time in my life I've learned and saved enough money where I can go and invest in jeans that are a little bit more expensive, but I know that they won't disintegrate after 6 months of these thighs walking in them. Why I really like handmade clothes as well, and making them for yourself, like me-made clothes. I kind of hate that saying, but like, it describes it perfectly. It allows you to have far more control over your clothing, what it's made out of, how it's constructed, the size, the fit, all of that. And it also gives you so much more pride in wearing it. That's one of my favorite things when I wear something that I've made. If somebody compliments something, you can say, I made it. I've literally had people say, I did not expect that and I don't know what to say. That was probably one of my favorite interactions with somebody at work. But for me, I tend to put more effort into the design and construction of the clothes that I make, because if I'm going to put the time into it, I want to make sure that it fits me perfectly and it's the exact style that I want to wear and razzle-dazzle the crowds with. But I want to make sure that it fits me well, because if I put in all the time and it ends up being like a little too tight in the shoulders, I'm not going to want to wear it. I feel like if you're like over the age of 25, you should start, if you're able to afford it, stepping away from certain companies. But that's everyone's choice. Consumerism. But I think, why spend the time making something and putting in the effort into it if it's not going to fit me or fit into my collective wardrobe? If I was gonna make something so out of my own comfort zone of clothes to make or to wear, why would I put in the time to do that if I'm not gonna be able to fit it into my own wardrobe? That's just my perspective on it. Maybe that's why most of the stuff I knit is kind of boring. From making my own clothes and investing in good pieces, I actually learned how to take care of them. I actually learned how to do laundry the right way, knew how to store clothes properly, because I don't want to ruin something that I either paid a lot of money for or spent a lot of time making just by storing it wrong in my closet or just by getting it clean. And I transferred this kind of thinking to all of my clothes, including the fast fashion clothes that are still in my closet. And it has extended their lifespan more than I thought they would, and those are the clothes that I've had for years. I also had a big mental shift of now thinking of my wardrobe as an investment and not as something that's just disposable, not something that just I could easily turn around. Like, alright, I'll buy the trendy pieces, they'll be out of fashion, I'll buy new trendy pieces until those are out of fashion. To me, that's extremely wasteful. I think about how much time and money I'm willing to spend on that part of my life. But a huge one! I learned how to mend clothes. Just because something loses a button, the stitches come out a little bit, doesn't mean that that whole piece of clothing is garbage. No, no, no. We will make tiny little mends to extend the overall life of that piece of clothing. Finally, because we all are a little narcissistic and vain, don't attack me if you think you're not. Everyone has a little bit. But receiving a compliment on the thing that you made is very fulfilling. I find it so fulfilling because it feels more personal when someone compliments an article of clothing that you made. Or that is something that's handmade, because there's more effort in it than just going to a store and going, oh, I like this, I'll buy it. That craftsmanship that somebody had to learn a skill, execute the skill, and then sell it to you, or you yourself doing those steps so you can wear your own handmade clothing. It's just a stronger compliment, and the person doesn't even realize it when they're giving it to you. So those are just kind of my reasons why I'm interested in slow fashion and handmade clothes. I know this was a brief overview of a topic that could become very complicated, but for me, this has all started from a shift in thinking as I've grown up and expanded my worldview. There are more options out there. Your small actions affect the world. Affect? What did I say? Affect. They affect the world. So I think everyone should try to make their own clothes at least once in their life, just to gain perspective, gain a little knowledge of at least how to mend clothes. I think that goes so far, because I don't think many people would want to actually sit down and knit an entire sweater. But mending your clothes, everybody wears them. That's it. Thanks for coming. Bye!